Good evening, you're watching Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Chuadabdin.
And I'm Mariam Ganavijaya. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Ranil's statement to save Chamara Sampath is false. Bribery Commission tells court. Instructions to withdraw Provincial Council fixed deposits came 9 months after Chamara's actions. Public funds misuse. Indictment against former Minister Lakshman Yapa. Is the SJB, after sidelining Ranil, preparing to form an alliance with the SLPP?
අපි බහුතර කණ්ඩායමේ නගරාධිපතිවරයෙක් පත් කිරීම සඳහා අපි සහයෝගය දෙනවා.
නෑ එතුමා ජනාධිපතිවරන්ට ඉල්ලුවේ තනි පක්ෂයක් ඉදිරියට අපි යමු.
8 RUSF members arrested for protesting in violation of court orders. Trump departs UAE, wrapping up Middle East trip. Announces $200 billion in deals during visit.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today revealed before the Colombo Magistrates Court that the statement made by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe at a media briefing regarding the process that led to the remanding of MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake is completely false.
The Commission informed the court that legal proceedings will be instituted in the High Court against MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake based on the charges investigated.
During his tenure as Chief Minister of the Uva province, MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake is alleged to have caused a loss of 17.3 million rupees to the government by prematurely withdrawing 6 fixed deposit accounts belonging to the Provincial Council from a state bank before their maturity. This case, filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, or SIRBOC, under the Public Property Act, has resulted in the MP currently being held in remand custody. Following the remanding of the MP, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe made a public statement claiming that it was under his advice that the fixed deposits were withdrawn.
Chamara Sampath Mantritumage Paule Samajikan Mav Muna Ganna.
I met with members of MP Chamara Sampath's family during my time as Prime Minister, and with the consent of then President Maithripala Sirisena, a circular was issued by our Treasury Secretary stating that Provincial Council funds could not be kept in fixed deposits. Both government funds and other allocations had to be spent within that fiscal year or returned to the Treasury or the Department of Finance of the relevant Provincial Council. Keeping such funds in fixed deposits for use in future projects was illegal, which is why we took that action. At the time, Chief Minister Chamara Sampath and several other Chief Ministers spoke to me. I explained why this could not be done. That's why they withdrew those funds from the fixed deposit accounts.
In relation to this statement, SIRBOC summoned former President Ranil Wickremesinghe on the 28th of April to obtain clarification. Today, when several other cases related to parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake were taken up at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court, investigators from the Commission presented further information. They stated that the former President's media statement had been made at the request of parliamentarian Dasanayake's wife, and that the statement concerning the disputed incident was made during that media briefing. Investigating officers further revealed that the circular instructing the withdrawal of the fixed deposit funds for development projects was issued on the 22nd of November 2016. However, the controversial withdrawals by parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake had occurred on the 29th of February 2016, 9 months prior to the issuance of the said circular. Therefore, investigators told the court that the suspect committed the offence before the circular was issued, indicating that no such legal authorization existed at the time of the withdrawal. It was also revealed during questioning that the former president made his public statement without proper awareness of the dates on which the circular had been issued. According to the investigators, the former president's media briefing created a false impression among the public and negatively affected the integrity of SIRBOC's investigations. The investigators informed the court that they intend to conclude the investigation and submit the report by the next court date, and that they will file indictments before the Colombo High Court against the suspect. The Commission to Investigate Allegations of Bribery or Corruption, or SIRBOC, has taken steps to file a case against former Minister Lakshmanyapa Abeyewardene and another individual. This is in relation to an incident from 2014 where it is alleged that government funds exceeding 1.7 million rupees were misused by publishing advertisements in newspapers using Board of Investment Funds to mark the second anniversary of then President Mahinda Rajapaksa's re-election. The SIRBOC today filed a case before the Colombo High Court against former Minister of Investment Promotion Lakshmanyapa Abeyewardene and former Director General of the BOI Jayantha Edirisinghe under 5 indictments. According to SIRBOC, on the 19th of November 2014, funds from the BOI were used to publish additional advertisements in 11 newspapers to mark President Rajapaksa's second term anniversary, resulting in a financial loss to the government amounting 1,748,877 rupees and 76 cents. This action constitutes an offence under the Anti-Corruption Act. In this case, 15 individuals are expected to testify as witnesses and 21 documents will be submitted as case material. The Colombo Magistrates Court today ordered the case filed under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act against former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's son Yoshita Rajapaksa and his grandmother Daisy Forrest be called up again on the 11th of July. When the case was taken up today, both suspects, Yoshita Rajapaksa and Daisy Forrest, appeared before the court. President's counsel Sampath Mendis, appearing on behalf of the suspects, informed the court that the Attorney General has already filed indictments against the accused before the Colombo High Court in connection with this incident. Taking this into consideration, the magistrate set the 11th of July as the date for the next hearing. Deshabandhu Tennakon has been summoned to appear before the committee appointed to investigate the alleged misuse of powers associated with the role of Inspector General of Police on the 19th of this month. This will be the first time Deshabandhu Tennakon appears before the investigative committee. The committee was appointed under the Removal of Public Officers Procedure Act No. 5 of 2002 to investigate the allegations against the IGP. The committee is chaired by Supreme Court Justice Preeti Padman Surasena. Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali today issued an arrest warrant for former Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage. This was in response to a request made to the court by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Alutgamage is accused in connection with the illegal importation of a substandard stock of organic fertilizer from China. According to officers of the Bribery Commission, when they went to his residence in Rajagiriya as per the court-issued warrant, he was not present at the location.
There are allegations being made against former ministers and MPs, with cases being filed and investigations being launched. Meanwhile, political parties that once held power are now engaging in discussions about forming alliances to establish power in local government bodies.
Now, there is also ongoing debate over whether parties that previously accused each other before elections can now come together and form alliances. Let's take a look at details on revelations of such talks being held in the political arena.
Members of the Samagi Janabalvegya, who secured seats in Colombo, were summoned to the opposition leader's office today. At the conclusion of the discussions, Parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman stated that the talks to gain control of power were being led under the leadership of the opposition leader.
No. That meeting was convened by the former president. That party wanted to attend the meeting. They went, and we have no issue with that. But we, as a group, want to bring everyone together to work on a common agenda in local government bodies. That process is being led by the opposition leader.
විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාගේ නායකත්වය යටතේ සියලු දේශපාලන පක්ෂ අතර සාකච්ඡාවල් යනවා. ඒවා
Parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman said that talks to form a new government are taking place under the leadership of the leader of the opposition. However, 2 days ago, a meeting of opposition parties was held in Colombo, led by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Parliamentarian Nalin Bandara from the Samagi Jana Balawegya also took part in the meeting. Meanwhile, several other opposition members, including MP Namal Rajapaksa, joined talks led by Ranil Wickremesinghe. After the United National Party's meeting, it was announced that party secretaries had agreed to meet to prepare a list of member names. Even though a meeting of party secretaries had been announced, it was held yesterday at a star hotel in Kolpiti without the attendance of the Samagi Jana Balawegya or the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. However, some parties allied with the SJB did attend the meeting, which was once again led by Ranil Wickremesinghe.
We held discussions democratically. The day after tomorrow, Saturday, representatives of the common opposition will hold discussions with leader of the Samagi Jana Sandhanaya and Samagi Jana Balawegya and opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe has spoken to me about this matter about twice or thrice. I did not attend those meetings, nor was there any need for me to do so. In terms of the northern and eastern provinces, we have secured more seats. We will form the administration there. Therefore, I see no need to get involved in matters taking place in the south. I have conveyed this to him as well. We operate based on specific ideology, and our actions are guided by that. We have no opinion on this issue, as it does not concern us. So far, Ranil Wickremesinghe has not directly extended any formal invitation to me in my capacity as party leader. Such invitations have not been extended to allied parties either. Everyone knows that when Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed president, we, as the Tamil National People's Front, were invited, but we refused to meet him. At that time, we could not support him because he was elected in an undemocratic process. Even today, if we look at the opposition and who constitutes it and whether there is any cohesive function within it, in reality, it is the SJB that appears to be the operative force. It certainly cannot be Ranil Wickremesinghe until the end. Ranil Wickremesinghe has suffered a significant setback in this election as well. His actions are not ones that build unity. Instead, they further divide and weaken the progressive forces. That is our perspective. Today, under Ranil's leadership, those without a public mandate are coming together. The people have rejected Ranil Wickremesinghe and his government. They are now rallying around someone without even knowing who the leader of the opposition is.
Who will the Samagi Jana Balawegya join forces with to establish power in local government bodies?
It wasn't Ranil Wickremesinghe who initiated these discussions. The first statement about forming a majority in the opposition was made by Sajith Premadasa. Sajith Premadasa was the one who said that the people have sent a clear message that the opposition must come together and establish control. Ranil Wickremesinghe is also playing a role within that process. But when you look at the number of votes and the members elected, it's very clear who must take leadership in this. That leadership will come from the Samagi Jana Balawegya and Sajith Premadasa. Samagi Jana Balawegya, Sajith Premadasa mattumat kiyala.
Is the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna ready to engage in discussions under Sajith Premadasa's leadership?
අපි බහුතර කණ්ඩායමේ නගරාධිපතිවරයෙක් පත් කිරීම සඳහා අපි සහයෝගය දෙනවා. සමගියේ නගරාධිපතිවරයෙක් පත් කර ගන්නවද පොදුවේ සියලු දෙනාගේ එකගතාවයේ මත පුද්ගලයෙක් නම් කර ගන්නවද කියන එක අපේක්ෂකයෝ මන්ත්‍රීවරු පක්ෂ තීන්දුව කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ විපක්ෂ නායකවරු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා එක එක තැන් වල කඳවල සාකච්ඡා කරනවනේ මේ බලය ලබා ගන්නනේ. ඒ බලය ලබා ගන්න නෙවෙයි මම හිතන්නේ. ඒ අය සියලු දෙනාම සාකච්ඡා කරන්න හැම කෙනාගේම අදහස් ලබා ගන්න. අපි සාකච්ඡා කරන්නේ නැහැ නේ. අපේ කාර්යාලයට කවුරුත් කැඳවල නැහැ අපි.
Has Sajid Premadasa abandoned his core principles in his attempt to gain joint power? Here's the response from the General Secretary of the Samagi Jana Balawega.
නෑ එතුමා එහෙම කොහොම කොහෙවත් ප්‍රකාශ කළා නෑ.
නෑ තියෙනවා වීඩියෝ පවා තියෙනවා.
නෑ එතුමා ජනාධිපතිවරුන්ට ඉල්ලුවේ තනි පක්ෂයක් ඉද අපි යමු.
The Frontline Socialist Party today questioned whether the discussions being held to unite various political parties that contested separately are based on any shared policy consensus.
These parties contested the election separately, so the people voted for each party based on that. Those who voted for the UNP voted for the UNP. Those who voted for the Samagi Jana Balawega voted for them, and those who voted for the SLPP did so knowingly. After that, no one has given a mandate for these parties to suddenly unite. It's completely against the public mandate. So if they are going to join together now, certain things must be clarified. Are they uniting based on a concrete plan for the development of local government bodies, or is it just a mad rush for power now that they see an opportunity? Another thing is that we've long said there are deep ideological differences between these parties. We are different. The SLPP always claimed to oppose the UNP. They went around saying that for years. Now, how can they suddenly come together? Are they saying their policies are now aligned? If so, let them come out with a public statement saying there are no ideological differences between our parties anymore. We are now aligned. If they say that, we will accept it. Otherwise, if there are still policy differences, how can they justify uniting after people voted based on those differences? The question is this. Each of these parties heavily criticized the others in the past. The SJB has harshly criticized the Rajapaksa regime for crimes, killings and corruption. On the other hand, during the Yahapalana government, SLPP members severely criticized the SJB ministers over various incidents in their ministries. Don't you remember those days when they carried files to the bribery commission saying the big-time thieves were the Yahapalana government? At the very least, the leader of the SJB, Sajid Premadasa, was accused by the SLPP of being involved in corrupt activities through the Central Cultural Fund back then. So now, are the Rajapaksas shamelessly trying to join hands with those same people? And can Sajid Premadasa and his team really unite with the SLPP after all that?
What actions have those now attempting to align themselves with power taken in the past under the pretext of reclaiming lost political influence? Do you recall the allegations of corruption and irregularities raised against Sajid Premadasa, the current leader of the opposition, during and after the 2019 presidential election campaign led by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna government? One of the most prominent issues was the financial dealings of the Central Cultural Fund. Upon assuming power in 2019, the SLPP government initiated investigations into the use of public funds by the Central Cultural Fund during the 2015 to 2019 Yahapalana administration. Particular attention was given to the period between 2018 and 2019 when Sajid Premadasa, then a cabinet minister, was responsible for the fund. There are three key reports related to these investigations. The Auditor General's report, the Committee on Public Enterprises report, chaired by Professor Ranjit Bandara and tabled in Parliament on the 6th of October 2023. A report by a presidential tripartite committee led by retired Supreme Court Justice Gaminit Sarat Edirisinghe, appointed in 2020. What did these reports reveal about Sajid Premadasa? In 2019, 3 million rupees each was spent to initiate the construction of 368 identical Dhamma school buildings under a program titled Sisu Dham Sebana. However, despite the scale of the project, proper tender procedures were not followed. The initiative was implemented without the approval of the CCF's Board of Governors or inclusion in the annual budget estimates. Although the board had approved an estimate of 5.25 billion rupees, the CORP report revealed a significant irregularity. The 209th board meeting, during which key discussions were allegedly made, including the approval with regard to an additional 1.787 billion rupees investment, was never physically convened. CORP concluded that decisions made without a formal meeting were not legally valid. Furthermore, a report disclosed that in 2019, the CCF's investment withdrawals increased by 1,521% compared to 2018. It also highlighted the unauthorized use of 10.5 billion rupees from the fund. Additional concerns raised in the reports include irregular recruitment practices and questionable expenditures on promotional campaigns. The SLPP government even held a lengthy parliamentary debate on these matters on the 6th of February 2020.
During his tenure as minister, Sajid Premadasa acted in an authoritarian manner, disregarding the rule of law. He did not seek approval from the Public Service Commission when making appointments, nor did he consult the Cadre Commission to verify whether positions were available. Institutions were used as personal tools. The Central Cultural Fund had 3.6 billion rupees allocated, yet there is no record of what happened to that money. No temples were funded, no transparent procedures were followed. Furthermore, Premadasa politicized the institution by exploiting innocent young employees. Despite there being no cadre space, the same group of temporary recruits were reappointed 4 times over 6 months. This was clearly a strategy to secure votes. Yet, even then, they were not made permanent. These individuals were constantly used for political canvassing during local government elections. There were claims that 1,500 stupas were built across the country using funds from the Central Cultural Fund. That was a blatant falsehood presented in this very parliament. In reality, according to the information we now possess, only 2 stupas were constructed under the leadership of the current opposition leader. Despite grand claims, only 2 were built. There were posters, media campaigns and exhibitions, but the actual output was minimal. Moreover, we've heard from some of the youth recruited under this program that they were shuffled between departments, sometimes sent to the water board, sometimes to the engineering corporation, without any clear purpose. As for the Dhamma school buildings, funds were allegedly misused. Contracts were handed out to local government members in their own villages, and the projects were executed without proper oversight. By December 2019, 1.2 billion rupees had been withdrawn. 2,005 million rupees in total taken out from fixed deposits. And for what purpose? To fund Premadasa's political campaign. This is how he operated.
Despite the debates and serious concerns raised, there is no evidence that any formal investigations were initiated. There are no records indicating that files were referred to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, the Criminal Investigation Department, or even the Attorney General's Department. By 2022, the SLPP government had collapsed. Today, the country is governed by the National People's Power, elected by the people. The NPP, particularly its active members, have particularly raised concerns about irregularities within the Central Cultural Fund.
During the years in question, the Board of Governors of the Central Cultural Fund met only once in some years. At the time, Sajid Premadasa served as the Minister of Cultural Affairs and was a key figure on the board, which also included the Prime Minister. Despite the board not convening regularly, billions of rupees were spent. There was no proper management or oversight. Serious issues existed regarding how funds were utilized. For example, over 900 workers were assigned to the Department of Archaeology, even though the department had not requested such personnel. This was done despite a government circular explicitly prohibiting new recruitments. According to standard procedure, any recruitment must be approved by the Department of Management Services, which determines the authorized cadre for each institution. The Department of Archaeology had no such approved cadre for these workers. What happened here was a clear misuse of public funds. Recruitments were made forcefully through the CCF and assigned to the Archaeology Department without legal basis. The most critical issue is that the CCF accumulates a significant amount of money primarily from foreign contributions. Yet, there is no proper financial management in place.
Isn't it time for a proper investigation into these matters? If these issues were previously buried due to political alliances or personal relationships, shouldn't the current government now take action in the interest of the people? Is opposition leader Sajid Premadasa being compelled to establish power in local government bodies with the very parties he once accused or those who accused him? Before the presidential election, Premadasa made the following statement in Medigama.
All those who destroyed this country through corruption, fraud and theft will definitely be brought before the court. Without a doubt, we will recover the stolen funds and use them to empower the 22 million people of this country. We do not engage in opportunistic politics. When the political conspiracy unfolded over 25 days in 2018, I was invited 71 times to take over as Prime Minister in place of Ranil Wickremesinghe. I rejected that offer. I said I couldn't accept it because the public mandate in 2015 was given to Maithripala Sirisena and Ranil Wickremesinghe. Later, when President Gotabaya Rajapaksa invited me to become Prime Minister, just think for a moment, if I had accepted that, wouldn't I have become a protector of the very thieves who destroyed this country and stole its resources? No matter what proposal comes my way through this corrupt political culture, I will never step outside the framework of people-centered politics.
News First with the people.
8 members of the Inter-University Students' Federation, or the IUSF, were arrested by the police today for engaging in protests opposite the Ministry of Health, defying a court order.
Colombo Magistrate Lochani Abbe Vikrama today issued an order preventing Madhushan Chandrajit, convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation, along with officials of the Joint Health Science Graduates Association and others, from staging a protest at the Hospital Square in Colombo. However, a student protest was held this afternoon in front of the Ministry of Health, citing demands including recruitment into the public health sector. Police media spokesperson, Senior Superintendent of Police Buddhika Manatunga stated that those arrested will be produced before court.
The government has launched a public consultation process on the new draft anti-terrorism bill.
According to the Ministry of Justice, the draft legislation aims to address emerging global terrorism threats, protect individual human rights both locally and internationally, and adhere to internationally recognized standards. Based on cabinet approval to repeal the prevailing Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Act No. 48 of 1979 in Sri Lanka and introduce a new law, a committee of legal experts appointed by the Minister of Justice and National Integration is currently in the process of drafting the new Anti-Terrorism Act. The ministry has invited the public to submit their opinions, recommendations and suggestions regarding the bill within 14 days, starting from the 16th of May. Submissions can be sent by post, with the top left corner of the envelope marked Proposals for the Anti-Terrorism Bill, addressed to Secretary, Ministry of Justice and National Integration, number 19, Sri Sangaraja Mawatha, Colombo 10. Additionally, the ministry stated that the public may also send their feedback via email to legal@moj.gov.lk.
Biz Fast.
Tourist arrivals have shown impressive growth in May, with nearly 60,000 visitors arriving in Sri Lanka in the first 2 weeks of the month.
The first 13 days of May, Sri Lanka welcomed 59,755 tourists, marking a strong start to the month. The majority of these arrivals have come from India. So far this year, Sri Lanka has seen a total of 956,639 tourists.
Sinopec held its first Clean Sri Lanka Open Day today at its newly renovated Dili fuel station in Colombo. The event marked the company's support for the government's Clean Sri Lanka program.
Sinopec marked a milestone in its Sri Lankan operations today by hosting its first Clean Sri Lanka Open Day at the newly renovated Dili fuel station in Navala.
As well as video cooperation.
in support of the Clean Sri Lanka strategic initiative introduced by the government to promote a cleaner environment and ethical commitment. Sinopec has commenced efforts to provide clean toilet facilities and enhanced services to the public through its nationwide network of fuel stations.
This initiative is more than just a project. It is a vision aimed at the enhancement of society as a whole. It promotes environmental sustainability, a cleaner physical environment, and most importantly, a nationwide commitment to ethical principles that guide our progress as a nation. This event is more than just a celebration. It is a statement that Sinopec stands with Sri Lanka in our journey towards a cleaner, more ethical and more sustainable future. It highlights how seriously Sinopec takes its role in society, not just as a business, but as a committed partner in our development.
As the world's largest refining company and the second largest chemical company, as well as China's leading supply of refined oil and petrochemical products, Sinopec has taken root in Sri Lanka, serves Sri Lanka, and cares deeply about Sri Lanka. Sinopec's dedication to sustainability, high-quality service, and corporate responsibility is a true reflection of the spirit that defines China-Sri Lanka cooperation. Today's event is also an important step by Sinopec in implementing the consensus reached between the leaders of China and Sri Lanka. Early this year, President Disanayak became the first foreign head of state to visit China in 2025. During this visit, the leaders of both countries reached important consensus on deepening the China-Sri Lanka strategic cooperative partnership and jointly building a China-Sri Lanka community with shared future. All relevant departments of both sides are now working intensively to implement this consensus as swiftly as possible.
At the inauguration, Sinopec highlighted its commitment to sustainable service standards and announced island-wide training for fuel station staff on safety, first aid, service excellence and fire protocols.
All scheduled night mail trains for today have been cancelled. This cancellation is due to a strike schedule to be launched at midnight today by station masters. Now, President of the Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union, Sumedha Somaratna, says that the strike is being carried out, citing demanding solutions to several issues related to recruitment and promotions.
On to news overseas, President Donald Trump has pledged to strengthen U.S. ties to the United Arab Emirates and announced deals with the Gulf state totaling over $200 billion. The two countries also agreed to deepen cooperation in artificial intelligence. President Donald Trump announced over $200 billion in commercial deals between the United States, bringing the total investment agreements in the Gulf region to over $2 trillion. President Trump arrived in Abu Dhabi on Thursday following earlier visits to Saudi Arabia and Qatar as part of his tour of the Middle East. The White House in a statement said, quote-unquote, "Today's deal strengthen the US-UAE investment and trade relationship and build on the UAE's landmark commitment to a 10-year $1.4 trillion investment framework that will contribute to the US boom in AI infrastructure, semiconductors, energy, quantum computing, biotechnology and manufacturing." The US and UAE signed an AI agreement today that supports the $1.4 trillion investment commitment secured in March. This includes the UAE committing to invest in, build or finance US data centers that are at least as large and as powerful as those in the UAE. It added, quote-unquote, "The agreement also contains historic commitments by the UAE to further align their national national security regulations with the United States, including strong protections to prevent the diversion of US origin technology. The US-UAE AI agreement strengthens bilateral investment partnerships, ensuring US security interests and dominance in AI, while extending the American tech stack to an important strategic partner. Trump departed for Washington after whirlwind meetings with leaders in the Gulf aimed at securing financial commitments from the wealthy energy producers that could boost the US economy and create jobs.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump said that he will meet with Russian leader Vladimir Putin as soon as they can set it up, as he seeks to broker a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. President Trump's announcement comes a day after Putin decided not to accept Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's invitation for a face-to-face meeting. However, delegations involving officials from Ukraine, Russia and Turkey met today. This is the first time government officials from Russia and Ukraine have met face-to-face.
Foreign media reported that the first direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in more than 3 years lasted well under 2 hours, with no apparent sign of progress so far in narrowing the gap between the sides, and a Ukrainian source called Moscow's demands non-starters. Delegations from the warring sides met at a place in Turkey, their first face-to-face meeting since March 2022, the month after Russia's invasion of its neighbor. Reuters reported that Russia's demands included ultimatums for Ukraine to withdraw from parts of its own territory in order to obtain a ceasefire, quote-unquote, and other non-starters and non-constructive conditions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv's top priority was a full, unconditional and honest ceasefire to stop the killing and create a solid basis for diplomacy. He said that if Russia refused, it should be hit with strong new sanctions against its energy sector and banks. Russia said it wants to end the war by diplomatic means and is ready to discuss a ceasefire. But it has raised a list of questions and concerns, saying Ukraine could use a pause to rest its forces, mobilize extra troops and acquire more Western weapons. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump today said he wants to meet his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, as soon as possible, after insisting Ukraine peace talks will not see any meaningful progress until a face-to-face meeting between the two of them takes place.
Look, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there.
The Kremlin's top spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, has said that a meeting between Trump and Putin was certainly necessary, both in terms of bilateral Russian-US relations and in terms of discussion, a serious conversation on international affairs and regional issues at the highest level, including, of course, the crisis around Ukraine.
2 long, hard years of work, winning test matches all around the world has gone into this.
Monday at 9:45 p.m.
Send us your application with your name, your unique talent, your phone number to Sri Lanka's Got Talent PO Box 100 Ratmalana or WhatsApp us on 076 599 7788.
Welcome back to the news. A distinguished 3-day French lunch and dinner will be expertly curated at 1864 limited edition at Golf Face Hotel starting today.
1864 limited edition, the signature fine dining restaurant at the iconic Golf Face Hotel, is pleased to present La Experience Francaise, a distinguished a la carte lunch and dinner series led by renowned Michelin-starred chef Serge Chenet. For 3 days only, guests at 1864 limited edition will be invited to savor an exclusive menu that reflects the elegance, complexity and emotion of modern French cuisine.
Je pense que c'est important pour nous de faire connaître notre cuisine. It is important for us that we get our cuisine known to the rest of the world, and I couldn't bring the produce from France, but it is always a delight to find local produce, which are very good, and to work with those produce and as well as the talented chef who came. Always a great pleasure. Really love Sri Lanka, and I'm sure we're going to spend a lovely time in the kitchen together.
Each dish will feature seasonal ingredients, a delicate technique and a profound respect for the traditions of the French table, all served within the refined setting of one of Colombo's most distinguished dining venues. A media briefing was held today to announce key details of Sri Lanka's participation in the 74th Miss Universe pageant, scheduled to take place in Thailand later this year. The media briefing marks the official start of the selection process of Miss Universe Sri Lanka 2025.
We
have been conducting this for over a month now, and the finals are scheduled to take place in the second week of July. This event is recognized as the country's primary national pageant, which is what sets it apart. It is the country's main national pageant.
I'm
so proud to have started the legacy after 6 long years and to take Sri Lanka's name into the world and in fact into the universe. So it is your time now. It's not just another crown that you are going to chase. It's a legacy that you're going to create after me. It's the power you're going to show of the Sri Lankan woman to the world.
The event was attended by 35 finalists of Miss Universe Sri Lanka 2025. A proud moment for Sri Lanka. Nalini Wickramaratne has returned home after an outstanding performance at the Queen of the World pageant.
We leave you tonight with happy headlines. Good night.
Happy headlines. Representing Sri Lanka on the global stage, Nalini Wickramaratne was crowned first up of the Queen of the World Grand Finale in the elite category. She further stood out by claiming 2 special titles, Most Talented Queen and the Queen of Marketing.
I participate in the Queen of the World pageant in US, New York, and the category is elite category. The age category is 45 to 55 years old category. So I'm a 50 years old, and the special in that category was there was a talent round, and I won the talent round by competing all the talented young girls. I thank you that Deputy Minister has given me the Sri Lankan national flag. That was one of the very prestige way of going forward to another country to compete. So that elite category is such a very proud category.
Amid cheers and heartfelt applause, family and friends and well-wishers gathered to congratulate Nalini, whose achievement has brought immense pride to the nation.